Where's Luke? Are we ready to start, Luke? Yeah, we're good to go. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We always begin with a land acknowledgement. Let me do that. The Forest Preserves of Cook County acknowledge that we're on the land of the Council of Three Fires, Ojibwa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi, as well as the Miami, Peoria, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sauk, Meskwaki peoples. As a land management agency, we acknowledge that we have played a role in shaping the histories of local Native Americans by acquiring this land. We also recognize, share, and celebrate their immemorial ties to the land. We commit ourselves to developing deeper partnerships that advocate for the progress, dignity, and humanity of the many diverse Native Americans who still live and practice their heritage and traditions on this land today. I want to thank the elected officials who are with us. Actually, Representative Nabila Saeed. Did I do that right? You did that perfect. All right, good. Barb Cornu is here from Scott Britton's office. Thank you, Barb. I also want to thank members of our Conservation and Policy Council. First of all, Wendy Paulson. Where are you, Wendy? All right, come on, stand up. So Wendy was the first chair of our Conservation Council, and we're really grateful to her for her work, and particularly for her leadership in securing passage of the referendum, which gave us resources to do a lot of acquisition and restoration work. I also want to acknowledge a couple other folks who are here from the Conservation and Policy Council, and that's Henrietta Saunders and Laurel Ross. You want to stand up wherever you are? Thank you. These folks are our volunteers. We're really grateful to them. They put in an incredible amount of time working with us and supporting our work. I also want to acknowledge Deb Shore. Stand up, Deb, come on. Who's been a longtime champion for environmental work in the region. She's a past member of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and Regional Director for Region 5 of EPA. Is that right? All right, thank you, Deb. And of course, General Superintendent Adam Bianchi, Openlands President and CEO Mike Davidson, the Stantec team, and all of the staff and partners who are here today to help us celebrate. And the good work of this partnership is a testament to the power of collaboration. And by the way, I should acknowledge, I sat at a table with some of our volunteers, Liz Worth, Sandy Hillenbrand, and Barbara Gilblair, who all do work in our preserves. Thank you. They're the ones I got a chance to meet. Thank you to all of you who I didn't get a chance to meet. We know that it's not enough simply to acquire land and keep it from being developed. To make the preserves amazing places where nature thrives, conservation takes action. And we know that the Forest Preserve can't do it alone. That's why I'm grateful to be here celebrating a monumental project that brought together partners from every level, federal and local government support, nonprofit organizations, and the public. More than 100 years ago, the residents of Cook County were the beneficiaries of an incredible gift, the creation of the Forest Preserves as dedicated natural open spaces. And what some of you may not know is that Deer Grove was our very first acquisition. In the country's second most populous county, that's us, Cook County, 5.2 million residents live and work, and having access to open space is critical to our quality of life. Whether it's picnicking, walking on our trails, participating in events, or simply watching wildlife and taking in the stunning landscapes, there's something special in our preserves for everyone. More than 70,000 acres in the preserves also benefit every resident of Cook County by making our region a better place to live, from stormwater retention to cleaner air and water. Restoration helps ensure our region is more resilient and welcoming to both people and wildlife. So I hope this day inspires you to visit Deer Grove again, or your local preserve, or someplace entirely new. Remember, these are your forest preserves. Everyone can benefit from some time out in nature, and everyone is welcome in our preserves. So, Thank you very much for inviting me. And now I'd like to bring Adam to the podium, our new general superintendent. And I should acknowledge, by the way, Arnold Randall, who was our superintendent for more than a decade, and whose good work is a foundation for Adam's work. I'd also like to thank Eileen Fiegel, who was our interim superintendent for a year. Adam comes to us from Colorado, and as I tease him, he's a refugee from the federal government.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you all for being here today. As the President said, my name is Adam Bianchi, and I'm the new General Superintendent. I've been here about 6 weeks, and I've been touring the preserves, and I'm continuing to be struck and amazed by the breadth of the natural resources in the county's second most populous county, in the country's most second populous counties. More than 70,000 acres of natural land woven in and around the communities. I've lived and worked all over the West, and there's nothing like it. This idea of the Kennedy Expressway intertwined with 350 miles of trails, or our skyscrapers in the Loop, and then our towering oaks out in the savannas. The sounds of our neighborhoods, and the bird calls, and the wind through the prairies. This place is uniquely special, and I'm honored to be part of it. The Deer Grove Restoration Project is a pivotal moment in the story of the forest preserves. As Madam President said, this is our first forest preserve, so it's fitting that we've tried a new restoration public-private partnership. The scale of the work that was done here and that collaboration was something that was new and that we were continuing to learn upon, how to build that and bring that to the other preserves within the county. I want to give a huge thank you to the O'Hare Modernization Mitigation Account and our partners at Openlands and Stantec that helped us create nearly 600 acres of restoration work back to life. Invasive species have been removed. Yeah. Through those partnerships, we've been able to tackle the removal of invasive species. Tree canopy has been thinned. The drain tiles have been removed, and ravines have been now stabilized. This work has been truly transformative for Deer Grove's critical wetland, prairie, and oak savanna habitat. So much so that the state of Illinois has designated more than 1,400 acres of Deer Grove as the Illinois Land and Water Reserve and Illinois Nature Preserve, which is the highest ecological value in the state. Hundreds of native plants and species now thrive here now. Birders have recorded dozens of species in the greatest need for conservation. Just as important, Deer Grove East and West will benefit the people of Cook County for generations to come. Visitors now can enjoy these beautiful trails and vistas on more than 14 miles of trails. They can take a walk, bird watch, ride their bike, and find artistic inspiration. When you talk about creating and thriving a natural location in an urban area, this is it. This is what it looks like. Before I introduce our next speaker, I want to take a moment to express our deep appreciation to Openlands and Stantec. This project was very much a complete collaboration, and thanks for your expertise.
And stormwater management. An economic study we did found that the local economy gained $10.6 million in the short term from jobs and economic activity simply from implementing the project. That's a $2 return for every $1 spent on the project. Long term, it's even greater. Improvements to recreation, more people wanting to use the preserve, improvements to water quality, which has a cost, improvements to flood control. They're expected to convey benefits of $33.5 million over a 20-year period, a $6 return for every $1 spent. And as has been mentioned, owing to the success of the project, Deer Grove East was dedicated as the Jensen Grassland and Woodland Land and Water Reserve, a dedication reserve for some of the highest quality remaining natural areas in the state. And that was just after about 5 or 6 years of the start of restoration. And again, while we gather today at Deer Grove East, we should certainly celebrate it. We can't fail to mention also Deer Grove West, certainly one of the crown jewels of the Forest Preserve system, a 400+ acre portion of that portion of the preserve, also went under restoration over the last 10 years. And that was in thanks to the strong stewardship of OMA funds by Openlands that allowed expansion of this project to the west side. And anybody that's been to the Deer Grove West Side, it's different, right? It's wooded, it's forested. It was not as historically disturbed by land use, so it took a very more delicate approach to really conserve the exceptionally high quality wetlands, woodlands, and forests and ravines on the west side. Add those two sites together, the OMA impact here is at 589 acres, as has been mentioned. So on behalf of Stantec, the Stantec team, we'd really like to express our deepest thanks to Openlands, to the Forest Preserves of Cook County, and to all the partners for allowing us really the privilege of being involved with this project over the last 17 years. We're really proud to be part of a project that now serves as a model for restoration throughout the region. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Michael Davidson, CEO of Openlands.
Thank you, Aaron. Stantec has just been a fabulous partner. What a great team. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. First, I want to extend a special welcome to Superintendent Bianchi. Where are you? Behind me. There you are. Congratulations on stepping into this important role. And President Preckwinkle, I mean, I know you hear this a lot, but this is coming from my heart. Thank you for being here today and for your leadership in shaping the forest preserves into something that we could all take pride in as conservationists and as taxpayers. And you know, government faces countless competing priorities. Nobody knows this more than you, and you have been a steadfast champion for the preserves and the people like us who depend upon them. So thank you. And I also want to acknowledge a couple additional people. Wendy, where are you, Wendy Paulson? Wendy Paulson, former Openlands board member, friend of Openlands, extraordinary conservationist. And I know that this is one of your favorite landscapes. And we owe a lot of the success of what we see here to your leadership. So thank you, Wendy. And another thing, so seated right next to Deborah Shore, so we've got two former US EPA Region 5 administrators in the House. Right next to Deborah Shore is Lynn Buell, Openlands board member, former US EPA Region 5 administrator. And I've got another board member here, Martina Keller. Thank you for coming today, Martina. So, Openlands and the Forest Preserves of Cook County share a long and meaningful partnership. And a highlight of that partnership was our work on the Next Century Conservation Plan, which set a bold vision for Cook County to be recognized as a national leader in urban conservation. So I'm going to share a bit of personal history. Before joining Openlands, I spent many years in philanthropy at the Chicago Community Trust, and the very first grant I made when I arrived at the trust all those years ago was to fund the process to create the Next Century Conservation Plan. So it's particularly gratifying, just for me, to see all these years later that the district has honored both the letter and the spirit of that plan. And one of the plan's top priorities, as you can see here at Deer Grove East, is the restoring native landscapes. You've already heard about the work underway. We've got before and after photos behind me, and you're soon going to experience this on a firsthand on a tour. But before we head out, I want to reflect on what this site represents, not just for Deer Grove, but for this global region. In 2005, the city of Chicago selected Openlands to lead the largest restoration initiative this region had ever seen, prompted by the expansion of O'Hare Airport. And earlier this year, crazy nonprofit accounting, we officially closed the books on the project. Our director of finance is here. He'll vouch for that. We officially closed the books on the project, and we wanted to tell the story. So we've been highlighting it as a model of what happens when good government and great conservation converge. And that's exactly what today is about. The O'Hare Modernization Program removed 280 acres of wetlands, and the city of Chicago committed to replacing them. To meet that commitment, Chicago invested $26 million in Openlands to create and restore wetlands to the highest ecological standards in other parts of the Des Plaines River watershed. So under the leadership of Joe Roth and Linda Masters, why don't you both raise your hands again? Any reporters here? You talk to Joe and Linda. So under their leadership, Openlands partnered with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the forest preserves of Cook and Will counties, the U.S. Forest Service, and hundreds, and dare I say thousands actually, of volunteers to not only meet expectations, but to exceed them. So we restored nearly double the required acreage across 5 strategic sites, completing the work on time and on budget. And as our partners from Stantec noted, our careful stewardship of these funds even allowed us to expand restoration efforts here to Deer Grove West, expanding this critical work. So altogether, the O'Hare project restored more than 530 acres of wetlands, roughly the size of 400 football fields. And we protected 1,620 acres of habitat, equivalent to about 1,200 city blocks. So it's no wonder, and I'm going to embarrass you, Linda, it's no wonder when Linda was recently recognized with a 2025 Force of Nature Award from Chicago Wilderness. Congratulations, Linda. Well earned. So these achievements show what's possible when significant investment is paired with long-term stewardship, creating gold standard landscapes like Deer Grove and Bobolink Meadow here in Cook County, Messenger Woods and Hadley Valley down in Will County, and the Drummond floodplain down at Medewin National Tallgrass Prairie. So the ecological, financial, and human health benefits these landscapes provide cannot be ignored. They improve our water quality, they reduce flooding, they recharge groundwater, they create critical habitat for wildlife. They raise our property values. They give us a place to fully immerse ourselves in nature to kind of calm our anxious nervous systems. And as we've already heard, you know, we are in the country's second most populous county, just right behind Los Angeles County. And yet you don't have to go far to experience a globally unique ecosystem. The County Forest Preserve System in northeastern Illinois is a one-of-a-kind treasure. There's no other system like it in the country. And Deer Grove is a shining example of its value and its impact. So conservation at this scale depends not just on partnerships, but on civic leadership. In 2022, Cook County voters approved an historic measure to increase support for the preserves. Openlands was, thank you for that. Openlands, you're clapping for yourself if you voted. Openlands was proud to play a key role in that Vote Yes campaign, and today we're already seeing those funds put to good work. And Cook County also set precedent because last year taxpayers across the collar counties also said yes to conservation, ensuring preserves across the entire region have the resources they need to thrive. And so this is how momentum builds, and it's exactly the kind of regional progress Openlands is proud to help lead. So we're honored to continue our work with the forest preserves and all of you to protect and expand these vital landscapes. Deer Grove shows what's possible when a vision, a plan, good leadership, and the passion of everyday people come together. Thank you for joining us to celebrate this. I mean, it really is a success story, a major success story. It's my pleasure now to introduce Deer Grove volunteer steward Ann Stake. It's folks like you, Ann, that actually keep this going. She's going to share more about the essential role of volunteers in caring for these lands. And so, shameless plug here, and if today's visit inspires you, we hope to see you at the Openlands Annual Luncheon on October 17th, where we'll debut our new strategic plan and launch the next chapter in conservation for our region. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So like they said, my name is Ann Stake, and I'm one of the volunteer stewards here at Deer Grove, and I'm speaking for the other stewards, which include Lisa Musgrave, where is he? Where? Pete Jackson, there he is. Pete Jackson, Kathleen Kuhn, and Sue Gore, who is not here. And I also want to call out one of our founding fathers of the volunteer group, Jeff Weiss. Yeah. So anyway, as you've heard, many things had to be factored in to make this a success. Oh. Okay. Many things have factored in to make this a successful project. you can tell by the people who are up there, there's been a lot of balls being juggled and plates being spun in order to make this the success that it is. And I just want to talk about one of the ingredients that has made this so successful, and that is the relationships that have been forged between all the different partners. That would be Openlands, Stantec, the Forest Preserve, and now the volunteers also. So this partnership has grown organically over the years, slowly and organically, but I think the first initial seed, the kernel of this teamwork project, was engineered right into the original plans. I think you were always going to have a volunteer group, and you've always included us. So the Friends of Deer Grove East was formed in 2011 to support this restoration. And we were first formed as the Friends of Deer Grove East, but several years later, we were wise enough to join forces with the already very well-established group that was going on over in Deer Grove West. They'd been around for years and years, had a lot of experience. So we joined them and now are part of the Deer Grove Natural Area Volunteers. But back 14 or 15 years ago, when Openlands and Stantec, when you had your first initial open house, and myself and many other people showed up and signed up, I don't think I realized at that time what a great team I was going to be a part of. It's a well-oiled, purpose-driven team, and I feel that the volunteers are a big part of it. So I want to thank some of our teammates, and most of you have been mentioned already before, but I'm going to do it again. So our first partner is, of course, Openlands, and most specifically, I want to thank Linda Masters, and Stantec, and most specifically, Dave Bart. These were the two people who let us know how important this restoration really was and why this site in particular deserved all this intense effort. And they were the ones who were available to answer all our questions all along. And through the years, the questions probably got a little less repetitive, a little less stupid, and and now, you know, I think we come up with some pretty good questions every now and then. So even though your day-to-day involvement is maybe over in Deer Grove East, I mean, you'll always be on my speed dial, and I know that you'll always be here to give me guidance and give us guidance and share your knowledge and your passion for this group. And I was gonna, this was also mentioned by everyone here, but Lisa wanted me to mention this specifically. Another shout out to Linda Masters. Now this is hard to say. Linda Masters' masterful management. Linda Masters' masterful management of the purse strings, which allowed for even more work to be done over in Deer Grove West. It just was an amazing thing. So my third partner, our third partner in this, is the Forest Preserve, and most specifically volunteer resources, and even more specifically my buddy Chris DePra. And this group, Volunteer Resources, is what keeps our involvement in this team working day after day with the ongoing training and support that we receive from them. And I'll tell you what I've learned over the years, and you made mention of this. This model, volunteer model at Cook County, is unique. It's like nothing else in the country. And I didn't know that when I started out. I thought everyone empowered their volunteers like you do here. But I have found out that's not the truth. That's not true. So because of that empowerment and because of that model, that's what makes us feel like important members of this team, and that's what keeps us engaged. So at this point, actually, the volunteers are probably the most visible team members out here now that everyone else has gone away. And when we're out here on our work days, or if I'm just out here on my own wearing my Forest Preserve swag, which I'm not wearing today, but someone is always stopping to ask what we're doing. And 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they weren't all really pleased. It was a big change for them. There were a lot of changes going on, and they weren't real pleased what was going on. But now, I have to say, inevitably, the people who stop are so pleased and so thankful for the changes that they see out here. So when that happens and they thank me or thank us, I accept their thanks, but I'm accepting it on behalf of all the other team members here. So finally, friends ask me all the time, they say, you know, Ann, you're spending an awful lot of time out here in the Forest Preserve. What have they got you doing out here? Are you like picking up trash? What are you doing? Well, of course I'm picking up trash. I'm not a savage. If I see trash, I'm going to pick it up. But that's not the model of this volunteer group. This team model has enabled the volunteer, Deer Grove Natural Area volunteers, to do a variety of very targeted, very impactful, and very meaningful work, and things that will support this restoration for years on end. And besides that, we have a lot of fun doing it. So on that note, any of you who are not volunteering, and you should be volunteering with us, can come up and see me or Lisa or Kathleen or Pete and find out how you can volunteer. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I'd like to welcome John McCabe, who's Director of Resource Management at the Forest Preserves.
Good afternoon again, everybody. Good afternoon. I got the best news for you. I'm not actually speaking. Okay, I'm just here to talk about logistics. But first, I believe we have some reporters that may have questions. So we wanted to open up the floor for any reporters that might have questions.
It's okay if you don't. It's all right. So the question was, what was the role of the referendum in pushing this project to completion? Again, I want to thank Wendy Paulson and all of the folks who worked on our Conservation Community Council and kind of gave us a blueprint for what we needed to be doing. And all of our partners, Openlands is represented here today, Friends of the Forest Preserves, it was a coalition of dozens of organizations. Where are you? Do you remember how many? 162. Thank you for the prompt. So 162 groups came together to support the referendum. And the referendum gave us the resources to do additional acquisition work, additional restoration work, and to meet not insignificantly our pension obligations. Because failing to meet your pension obligations leads to astronomical costs in the out years, and then you don't have any money to do anything except pay your pensions. So I am very grateful to all of the 162, thank you again for the prompt, groups that came together to support the referendum. And Openlands did a lot of work for us in sort of plowing the fields, getting the research done to show what kind of strategies, what kind of arguments were successful in other places. So helping us target our messaging. And the coalition raised money. You want to prompt me? Where's
What was the amount raised?
Right. So you may recall that in 2020, the governor had a referendum on the ballot regarding a graduated income tax, basically. And that failed. And that led to a certain amount of caution on our part about how we were going to proceed here, since the previous cycles had not been kind to referendums. But we are really grateful to the money that was raised to make the case, and the good work was done to lobby people who might otherwise have been in the opposition to stand aside, be on the sidelines. So we kind of had the field to ourselves in terms of promoting the referendum, but it's always hard to get people to raise taxes, and so I'm very grateful to the coalition that came together to support the preserves in this way. All right. Sure.
All right, real quick, you heard a lot of powerful statements here today. One thing I want to leave you with before I give you the logistics on the tours is this weekend, as I shared with the superintendent in our meeting earlier today, Palatine High School is hosting their sectional tournament. 4,000 people will be here. So think about what's here now. Think about 4,000 people here. This is the greatest example of conservation and recreation being able to work together. So it's the cross-country tournament this weekend. So again, I'm not much on people. I like the trees. I'd much rather be out here with the trees. So I won't be here, but if you want to come out and see what that looks like, this weekend you'll be with 4,000 people. So we got 2 tours going on. So one tour, it's going to be led by Aaron Fiegstad from Stantec, is going to start right over here, back where Luke is at. Luke, raise your hand, please. Okay, and Aaron's going to take a walk across the grass here onto the paved trail and then around to what we call the Pride Rock spot, where you've got the view over all of Deer Grove as you're looking back east. So that's where you just get that feeling of how immense this project actually was. All right, and then our rock star steward here, Ann Stake, who you just heard from, is going to be leading a tour. She's going to be starting from right over where the water coolers are at. Ann is going to be doing some bushwhacking, okay? So you're going to be going through the prairie on a trail that could be a little wet and muddy. So if you're into that, which I am, I think I'll be going with Ann. We're heading that direction. Each tour is going to last about 30 to 45 minutes, okay? And give you 5 to 10 minutes to get a drink of water and then meet at your respective tour stations if you want to go on a tour, all right? Thank you all for being here today.